So I grew up with American Girl doll. Anyone else relate? And I still have loads of those charming books filled with recipes, activities, crafts, game ideas, and I thought today we could put one of those ideas to the test. Following the instructions in one of these books, we are going to make a fake leather journal, or at least attempt to. The thing is, I don't really know if this was a success or a fail. Let me know what you think. My name is Bethany, and welcome to Joyful Habits. So I have this book called the American Girls Club Handbook. Fun fact, when I was 10 years old, I tried to organize an American Girl Club. I asked like 2 or 3 girls from my neighborhood or in my Girl Scout troop and was like, please join my club, this will be so fun. And anyway, it didn't last long, but it was fun while it did last, and our club definitely wasn't as hype as the book made it out to be. I mean, look at this. In the book, you get your own club newspaper, and membership card, and secret like handshake and hat, although I did have the hat. And another fun fact, I remember very distinctly one day my family and I were at an amusement park, and through the crowd I saw another little girl also wearing her American Girl doll club hat. And I just remember feeling like I'd found my long lost twin or something. I don't know, I was so excited and wanted to run over and talk with her, but sadly she was lost to the crowd and I never got the chance. That moment will forever haunt me. Anyway, I'm getting so sidetracked, but I mean, look at some of these pictures. Tell me that doesn't look so fun. This right here, this whole like make crafts and sell and do this big event and have cookies and snacks. This right here was 10-year-old Bethany's dream. But yeah, the other girls just couldn't see the vision, I guess. And like I said, the club didn't really last that long. As Anne of Green Gables would say, my life is a perfect graveyard of buried hopes. Rest in peace, 10-year-old Bethany's dream. Well, anyway, there were always a bunch of craft ideas in these books, and I thought they looked so fun. And I have tried some of them, but really not many. And this is one I always wanted to try and see if it really worked. Supposedly, you can make a fake leather journal out of a paper bag or brown paper. So that is what we'll be attempting today. The book says you'll need the following supplies: an adult to help you, which I don't have. I'm my own adult now. Crayons, brown paper, a candle, old newspaper, an iron, plain paper, hole punch, ribbon or yarn, and scissors. I had this one piece of thinner cardboard that I've just sort of been holding on to, thinking it might come in handy at some point, and some point has finally arrived. It always feels so good when you finally find a purpose for that random item. I was using it as a sort of template for the size of my journal, and I also thought about maybe gluing the cover to it when we're done to add some sort of sturdiness to the journal, but in the end I decided not to. Next step is to draw your design using crayons, and the book does specify to push really hard with the crayons when you're drawing. I'm just sort of making this up as I go, but I decided to draw some vines around the border, and then to keep with that autumn theme, I decided to put a cute little leaf in the middle. And there we go. I actually really like how it turned out. Now the next step says to take a candle and rub the wax onto the areas that do not have crayon. This is where the problems first began. First, I was using a tea light candle, like a little beeswax tea light candle, which isn't what the problem was. What was the problem is that this tea light is in a little plastic encasement, and I thought I'd be able to just pop it out, but that did not work. I literally tried prying this thing out for like 10 minutes, and then losing my patience, I brought it outside, placed it on a rock, and hit it with a hammer. Hence the way it now looks. Poor candle, but it had to be done. Now where the second problem began is rubbing the wax onto the paper was kind of difficult. Maybe because I'm using these small pieces, maybe it's the type of wax, maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I feel like I wasn't getting enough wax onto the paper. And then even though the instructions said very clearly to not put the wax on the areas with the crayon, I didn't feel like trying to get in between all the little gaps, so I just started putting wax over the entire thing. I figured, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, obviously they put that instruction in there for no reason at all. Next step says to crumple the brown paper into a ball and then reopen it. The book said to do this 15 to 20 times. I'll be honest, I think I did it once, maybe twice. Not because I was trying to disregard the instructions this time, but I think I just kind of forgot. Okay, so now comes the part where we turn the paper into leather, the ironing. It says to place the paper between 2 layers of newspaper. I'm just using parchment paper here. And then the book says to have an adult iron the paper for you. Good thing I'm an adult or we'd be stuck here. The book says to iron the paper until, and I quote, it becomes soft like leather. The idea here is that we are now melting the wax of the crayons and the candle to create a coating onto the brown paper. After peeling off the parchment paper, I realized my earlier fear was correct, and there was not enough candle wax on the paper, as you can see from all the dry spots. So overwhelmed by the grief of my failure, I did not even notice that the parchment paper had dropped right onto one of my candles. When they listed an adult to help you as one of the supplies needed, I guess they weren't kidding. No worries though, because I did catch it before it started on fire. Yay. So to try and add more wax onto the brown paper, I decided to place little chunks of wax on the dry spots and then iron them until they hopefully melted completely. This kind of worked, but still it felt like this was not going like the book intended. I also noticed all the extra wax was really dulling the colors of the crayons, and the design I had drawn with the crayons was really not showing up like it was before. So I decided to go back over them with the crayons again so the color would pop more. I guess this is probably why they said to only put the candle wax where the crayons are not. Hey, I never claimed this was a how-to video. This is simply a how-not-to video. So if you try this yourself, learn from my mistakes, and just basically follow the instructions, and you'll be fine. Okay, so we now have our fake leather journal cover. Now, to make it into a full journal, I have some extra long paper and I folded that in half. Then I punched some holes in it. I marked where the holes would be on the cover and I made those holes as well. Then using some twine, I began making the binding. I don't have a method for this. I was just sort of tying it however. I thought about making 2 bows and cutting the extra, but then I decided to tie the 2 ends together and make like a little handle of sorts. I also thought about adding an extra piece of paper to the inside cover to help hold those edges down and just make it look nicer. I honestly can't remember why I didn't. And there we have the finished product. The book says, and I quote, "Now you can write favorite sayings, poems, and stories inside." You know, even though we hit some road bumps along the way, almost started a fire, and were unable to acquire an adult to help us, all things considered, I think it came out okay. The book doesn't specify, but I think if I did this again, I would also wax and iron the back cover as well, not just the front. And I would maybe not put the candle wax over the crayons, you know, like the instructions said not to see if the colors show up better. But yeah, overall I'm happy with it, and it was fun to make. Let me know in the comments if you'd like us to try out some more crafts and activities from the American Girl Doll series, because I have a lot of their books and I'd love to try more of these, and there are a lot more to try. So yeah, let me know if that's something you would be interested in doing in the future. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, friends. I mean, what do you think? Was it a success? Was it a fail? Was it user error because I did not follow those instructions to a T like I should have? I really do think maybe I should have not put the candle wax where the crayons were. I should have just put it in between the crayons, but I was like, this is gonna take too long, so I'm just gonna put it over everything. But then I don't know, maybe it would have turned out kind of similar. I do think the wax on top of the crayon definitely dulled the colors though and made it look kind of eh. But I kind of like the vintage look, you know? I kind of like how old it looks, but then I don't know, it needs something. Anyway, if you had fun hanging out with me today and want to come back and hang out again, please consider subscribing to the channel and we can hang out again. If you like the video, please hit the like button and share it with a friend. That really helps my channel and get these videos out to more people like you who might enjoy these types of failures. Anyway, I don't fail every time, just there's failures sprinkled within the videos and throughout. What matters is that we have fun. As always, my name is Bethany and this is Joyful Habits, where we daydream and add a touch of whimsy to the ordinary. I'll see you all very soon, and until then, keep smiling. Bye, friends. If you had fun hanging out with me today and want to come back and hang out again, hit the subscribe button and then you'll never miss any of my failures.